Hello, everybody. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's nice to see a good group here to work together on the Scorpio pre-full moon meditation. The actual time of the full moon is at 10:22 and 48 seconds PM Universal Time GMT, and that's tomorrow. That's on November the 6th, and so far here at least it's November the 5th, although if you're listening from Australia or New Zealand, so you'll have the full moon on November the 7th. Well, Scorpio is the great sign of discipleship. It is the sign also of humanity, and the fourth creative hierarchy of human monads is ruled by Scorpio. And that means that to be a human being, especially on this planet, as there are in the Ageless Wisdom teaching, human beings on all planets, is a struggle. At least our hierarchy of monads is ruled by this great fourth ray, and I would say also first ray sign, Scorpio, a sign of struggle and eventually a sign of triumph. Warrior I am, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. We will be having the also an exact full moon broadcast. It'll start at 9 p.m. also GMT tomorrow night on the 6th. And if all goes well with our electronics and our broadcasting, we're having a lot of changeover with that. We will be, my wife Tuya will be broadcasting this with music and with images. So I hope you can join us, and if you need the link, you probably already have it because I've sent it to you in a letter, but please go to www.moryafederation.com and you will see it under the Scorpio full moon webinars. You'll be able to get the link there if you don't already have it. Well, here we have the banner of Scorpio. The Tibetan tells us its color is crimson. It's not that very bright red like Aries, the carmine red, but it's a crimson color. And Mars is the ruler, both on the ordinary wheel and also as we are reversing the wheel and beginning to tread the wheel of consciousness. That is the esoteric ruler Mars as well. And we should not forget the presence of Pluto involved as a secondary ruler in both of these instances, bringing about the experience of death unto life, the experience of being able to relinquish our identification with form and renew a type of identification which is with the subtler dimensions of life. It's said that Pluto never kills the consciousness, though it does kill the obstacles that are in the way of the expanded consciousness. Finally, Mercury is the hierarchical ruler, and it connects us directly with the intuition, the transcendental mind, and with the Buddhic plane. Warrior am I, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. This is the, I guess we all have our battles, you know. This is, to be a human being, especially at this time on Earth, will require a battle. And, you know, it was interesting, DK was giving instructions to his students, and he basically told them it was at the time of the Second World War, and they had many things to overcome, and he said, see that you battle. He was speaking to the disciple in them. Well, we have, you know, St. George over here. He's slaying the dragon, but there are lower dragons and there are higher dragons. All of us are attempting to become the dragon of wisdom, or a lesser dragon of wisdom, which is, a true dragon of wisdom is a great planetary logos, but lesser dragons of wisdom are masters of the wisdom, and one day we hope to be that higher type of dragon. The phoenix is not really represented in this particular illustration, but when I show you Francis Donald's illustration, you'll see that he has beautifully represented the transcendent rising out of its own death and ashes of the phoenix bird. I guess there comes a time for all of us when we have to have one or more incarnations in Scorpio while we are disciples, and I guess we'll learn the meaning of self-immolation and rising out of our renewed out of our own ashes. Maybe I suppose this is the ego here, maybe not the phoenix, but that's another one of the symbols of Scorpio. Not only the scorpion, which if it cannot find that which it must sting, it will sting itself. Well, I suppose we all have to learn how to sting ourselves in terms of being rid of our lower nature, the ninefold hydra and the abuse of the energies of the personality which that hydra represents, sex, money, and comfort, the abuse thereof, fear, hatred, and ambition, or the love of power. You can use any of those things. Master Hilarion says, do not be ambitious, but act as one who is ambitious. In other words, have that same kind of drive, but your motive is entirely different. And then, of course, the mental heads, pride, separativeness, and cruelty. These are the problems for, disciples who are mentally focused. They have to learn how to really overcome those mental heads. Scorpio is a great sign of transformation. We have the alchemical chalice here, and there is a great elixir of life that is being brewed in that chalice. We have life and death. We have the death is the skull, and the rebirth that is possible in Scorpio is here represented. And it is a rocky and barren terrain. All has come into the state of death, but it is really death unto life is what it's all about. And if we learn how to die in the right way, we will be uplifted into our soul nature and beyond. So Scorpio has so much to do with the first three initiations. It can be found in all three of them, and I think even in the destruction of the causal body, at the fourth degree, it has yet another meaning. So it's kind of interesting that Scorpio is said to stage the release of Leo. Well, Leo is that ahamkara principle, is the false sense of I-ness that we developed instead of realizing really we are the whole thing. We are life itself. But we have these lower egoistical identifications, and that correlates with Leo. But Leo also correlates with the true and pure identity, and Scorpio makes it possible for the human being to realize that true identity. The illustrations from Francis are very beautiful. This is the first illustration. The ancient one is dying by drowning. The death of the personality is here, and he's going to be raised up into the phoenix. And if we one day, I think it would be good for Francis to describe his own illustrations firsthand. I'm using some of the words, but he is the creator here. Well, this is the destiny of all of us, and perhaps a little bit of what is being said here can be offered. Let's see here. That's not it. There we go. I'm trying to find... there we go. All right. Well, so Francis says that this month's image the man on the fixed cross, it reveals a pivotal moment in the long series of incarnations of our Scorpio native. A native is one who was born in a particular sign. He has risen from the ancient Mayavic waters to mount the fixed cross. The Tibetan Master DK summarizes this event in the following way. The Ancient One, that is the personality, dies by drowning. And also burial in the earth is another way of looking at this. Such is the test. The waters envelop him and there is no escape. He drowns. The fires of passion are then quenched. The life of desire ceases its appeal, and to the bottom of the lake he now descends. Later he reascends, purified, of course, after all those many battles, to where the white horse of Sagittarius awaits his coming. So Mars is appearing just above the horizon, it says, and glows within our aspirant solar plexus. It rules his tests and trials, and it will be there until there's nothing left for him to be able to transmute. And there it is, so to speak, the red planet. It's very tiny here, but maybe you can see it somewhat in the image. I won't read all of this, but just enough, and by now I think some of you have these excellent notes from Francis, and you can always write him to have him mail them to you. There will be the symbolic death, for Scorpio is the sign of death. Then will the symbolic death be complete, and through a Herculean effort, the 9 tests and trials of Scorpio, the Hydra heads that I talked about, his passage on the outer clockwise wheel, the wheel of form, has steadily lost its momentum, and the inner reverse wheel, which is the running counterclockwise, it is the wheel of consciousness, begins, and at first they rather tear at each other, and you get this rending process which makes, well, the life of many Scorpio people so wretched, you know. St. Paul had a lot of Scorpio in his chart, we are told by the Tibetan, and he said, "Oh, wretched man that I am, who can save me from the body of this death?" Because he had all these temptations to deal with. But he was one of those, you know, who went through a number of incarnations, or rather a number of initiations under Scorpio. I think maybe second, third, and fourth initiation even. Okay, so a warrior I am, and from the battle I emerged triumphant. Following that, our tested one focuses on a source higher than even the fixed cross, and Scorpio is definitely connected with the star Sirius. There's a very important kind of triangle, Sirius, Scorpio, and Mars. So he gazes towards Sirius, which has its own very burning effect. It's called the scorcher, and one of the ways to Sirius, it's kind of a fourth ray path in a sense, is via Scorpio, which brings in more of the fourth ray, at this time anyway, than any of the other constellations in the zodiac. So this draws him further along the path of initiation, and meanwhile the Scorpio scampers off and performing his dastardly deeds. Well, he brings death, but it's a death that will allow us truly to live, because the fascinating thing is we're not really alive down here in these lower 18 subplanes, and you could even wonder about the 21 subplanes, whether we're really alive. And the death which Scorpio delivers releases us onto the Buddhic plane, which is ruled by Scorpio, interestingly, and that's the plane where life begins. Those cosmic ethers, you know, the Buddhic, Atmic, Monadic, and Logoic planes, life is really beginning there. So the death unto, well, let's see, it's a death unto our normal life, and it releases us into true life. Well, there's so much to say about it. DK has said a few things here which are of importance. Yes, he's on the fixed cross, and maybe Scorpio for us is the preeminent sign of the fixed cross. The vertical life of the man upon that cross, no matter in what sign his sun may temporarily find position, is ever Aquarius Leo, and this indicates that the self centered individual in Leo learns the lessons of the cross and becomes decentralized. Well, and then of course the horizontal sign would be Taurus and Scorpio. Interesting that Scorpio would be over there at the 7th house position. On the fixed cross, we learn that Taurus gives us blinding light, Leo gives us fiery pain, and Scorpio gives us bitter woe. You know, sounds like a lot of suffering until one realizes that sacrifice is not suffering. As Master Morya said, when have you ever become less through sacrifice? And then finally, and yet the cross of liberation, that's Aquarius. So those are the tests here, and we've talked about them. There is some sacred geometry here that Francis also gives us. The central disk with the cross spanning its diameter is also the symbol of Earth. And here superimposed on the solar disk, it is Earth and thus humanity redeemed. And this represents the higher purpose of Scorpio, the redemption of humanity. And the eagle, really the phoenix, represents triumph in Scorpio. He leaves the ashes of the personality beneath him and rises from darkness to light, from the unreal to the real, from death to immortality, and later from chaos to beauty, and from the individual to the universal. Well, you know, if you get this video, you can freeze this and you can look at some of what Francis has said here. It's very good. The Tibetan closes by saying the key words of this sign are significant and illuminating. Deception, let Maya flourish, and deception rule, and triumph, deception and triumph, the lower Scorpio and the higher Scorpio. So controlled by Maya, okay, and controlled by the soul. Conflict at first and then peace. And such are the hidden secrets of this sign, and these are summed up for all disciples in the two keywords. Upon the ordinary wheel, wherein the soul is found blind and apparently helpless, the word goes forth in the following terms, and the word said, let Maya flourish, and deception, let deception rule. And upon the reverse wheel, the soul chants or sings the words, warrior I am, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. I know we all long to say those words, and meaningfully, I'm reminded of an old Atlantean chant the Tibetan talks about. He says, hark to the joyous paean that I sing, the work is done. My ear is deaf to all the calls of earth, except to that small voice of all the hidden souls within the outer forms, for they are as myself, with them I am at one. So the great joy of triumph and liberation, but, you know, we have to struggle, but then who is the inner warrior? Sometimes using Scorpio in the fourth ray, we have to stand back and let the inner warrior within us do the battling. There's a little more, you know, to be said, this beautiful image of the phoenix, and if you go deeply into it, you will see, you know, the inner being there, and it's really also a symbol of eternity. It's what Francis calls a trefoil, and it is drawn with continuity, and it represents eternity. Well, one day we shall all become, you know, like the solar angel. We shall receive our wings, so to speak, at the fourth initiation. We will be liberated, and in a sense, maybe if we, my wife is always talking about the Deva kingdom, and if we will become a bit more like Devas at that point after the fourth initiation, maybe both man and Deva in a certain respect. We receive the wings that the solar angel has, and in a sense we are allowed to fly into the cosmic ethers. Well, we have to work hard. Meanwhile, we have to work hard in order to become that, and it is certainly possible for all of us. We're under a great deal of pressure at the present time in this period before the reappearance of the Christ and the externalization of the hierarchy. And as Master Morya said, well, he said something that hardly anyone will agree with. He said, the worse the better. So I guess if you're born in or under Scorpio, maybe you can appreciate that that is the case. Anyway, this is the story of the phoenix is here, and eventually we rise out of the lake and ascend. Here is a discussion of the chalice, and if I were you, I would go to Rays and Initiations, page 768 and 769, and read about, in this beautiful symbolic language from the old commentary, about the chalice. And then there is some Egyptian mythology here about the phoenix as the Bennu bird. Well, in Scorpio, says the Tibetan, the result of all the struggles carried forward during the seemingly endless pilgrimage around the zodiac wheel of life is brought to a point of climax. The terrific struggles of humanity, the terrific struggles of the individual disciple. And here's one more beautiful thought. It is in this sign, well, it's kind of a reversal of the wheel, isn't it? It is in this sign that the prodigal son comes to himself, and having eaten of the husks of life, you know, that which is not of value, right? Venus is detrimented in Scorpio. Having eaten of the husks of life and having exhausted the resources of worldly desire and ambition, he says, I will arise and go to my Father. And he fights his way there, realizing eventually himself to be the monad in extension, the monad that has descended and is now returning to the Father's home. But it takes a battle to get there. So, all right, these are some thoughts about Scorpio. We live in such a scorpionic time at the moment, and well, it's difficult. The world is passing through great scorpionic battles at this time, and well, there's lots of death stalking the earth, and there is disease and the possibility of epidemics. We are in very testing times. We are in what might be called, maybe in Christian terminology, the tribulation, you know. Of course, what the reappearance of the Christ is really all about is probably different from that which is conceived in Orthodox Christian theology, but, you know, everybody expects this big battle. The various of the world religions expect a great battle in the Middle East, no less. So we are watching some of that shaping up, and really humanity must triumph over that somehow. So we're on in this day of we can say dedication, a day of dedication, ending our day of aspiration and entering the day of safeguarding the energies which we contact. And then following will be the day of distribution, and this video will be sent to you, and if you can use it in some ways in the meditation, then please feel welcome to do so. All right, well, I think that's enough for the moment. I'm making this presentation from our Temple of Silence. It's a beautiful little temple. You can't really see that in the background, but we have many services here, and our broadcasts are held here, and maybe sometime you'll get a chance to come to Finland and join us for some of our events. Okay. Okay, friends, we are scattered all over the world, some 70 of us here, I think, about. And although we are as personalities in time and space apparently separated, we are not really. And we are merging with each other in the state of soul. We are withdrawing from the ordinary sensory presentations to our consciousness, and the emotions are left behind, though perhaps aspiration exists. and the common thoughts are left behind, though mental illumination can exist. And we realize ourselves really, if we can, to be the soul in incarnation. We are that extension of consciousness immersed in the lower three worlds, dealing with impressions from those worlds, but if we were to ascend to the source from which that extension came, we would find ourselves in the world of light, in the world of soul love, and soul sacrificial will. Let's try to realize those energies, the presence of those energies, at least imaginatively. Let us do that. Light, love, and power in the world of the soul. And we try to realize that our nature is more that than a nature of form in the usual sense. We sort of blend with each other in this field of light, in this field of love, and we realize ourselves together to be one being. There is only one being. One being. In all this vast cosmos, but one, but even if we can begin to understand something of the unity of the group, one being. All of us radiating into each other as if we are one field of consciousness and one being with that field, within that field of consciousness. And this is the group soul. We may not know each other personally, but on the plane of higher mind we are at least imaginatively together. Unity, fusion, merging, one consciousness. Reaching out now to the members of the new group of world servers, not as personalities, but as souls. And sensing the unity with them in the heart. But really the heart is the soul. They are synonymous. The heart is the gateway to the soul and to the Buddhic plane. And reaching out to the men and women of goodwill as souls, wherever they may be found, in whatever countries and in all countries they may be found. And really reaching out to all human beings, whether in the body or out of the body, all as souls. Some are awake, some are asleep, but as souls we find each other in the one humanity. If we can just drop the obvious from our consideration, we mistakenly imagine we are this and that, but in fact We are together this one soul of humanity. And whether we are attracted or repelled, antagonized or harmonized, always behind it is the one soul of humanity. And eventually the fourth ray under Scorpio works its way through that tremendous conflict to realize the harmony within the one unified soul of humanity. If the heart is alive, if you feel your heart, all the many hearts we have, we're going to know that unity. We here are focused on the plane of mind, but it's an illumined mind. It's at the mental unit. The soul has to infuse what we are in our personality nature. The various aspects of ray will have to come into our mind as we build up a point of tension, a point of focused, immovable will from which to project into the higher worlds. The practical antikarana work, the will to initiate of the first ray, the will to unify of the second ray, as if we're absorbing these, the will to evolve of the third ray, the will to harmonize with the fourth ray, the will to act of the fifth ray, the will to cause of the sixth ray, the will to express of the seventh ray. We build up our point of tension, fortified by the downpouring presence of the soul. We draw up the energies of the personality into that point of tension. We share that point of tension, a group point of tension on the fourth subplane of the mental plane. And that allows us to begin visualizing the many-colored antikarana. Our particular antikarana will have two colors, the color of the soul and the color of the personality, or if you don't know these, just use the color indigo. Each of us has a two-fold bridge, red for the first ray, indigo for the second, green for the third, yellow for the fourth, orange for the fifth, rose color for the sixth, and violet for the seventh. Those are some of the colors we can use for the rays. So dwell with your bridge as you imagine it in two colors, extending upward or deeply inward toward the subtle realms of the cosmic ethers, toward planetary mind, planetary love, planetary will, spiritual triad, and even touching that blue-white diamond we can call the monad. We can visualize that. So via this bridge, these higher agencies of wisdom and mind and power are going to come into our consciousness. And we together, we have a multicolored rainbow bridge, like a funnel extending upward towards the monad, all the colors of the rainbow there. we're going to project that line of pure white light upward. Symbolically upward, of course. It's vibrational. It's not upward, really, but we're going to project that. We're going to use the second ray word of power. I see the greatest light. And we'll do that as we sound the Om on a second ray note, a G. It's one of the notes that can be associated with the second ray. The Sol note. Outward sounding, inward affirming, I see the greatest light. As we project rapidly, rapier-like, that vivid line of pure white light. We aspire, but the spiritual triad and the monad also are invoking us as personalities, as soul-infused personalities, and we respond. And a lighted bridge of consciousness is created. But it's a triple thread of power and of consciousness and of creativity. And perhaps together we can touch some of the higher streams, because in a way we are entering into the worlds where the masters themselves are found, because they are liberated triadal beings, and they work with Buddhi and with Atma. And we, if we're lucky, we just touch that. We just touch those higher spaces. But together, we have a better chance. And we are together. But we're in their world now. We're in the world where the Masters focus and the spiritual triad, at least we're imaginatively touching that world. And so we stand in solidarity with our elder brothers. We stand with the Masters of the Wisdom. Who are here, not elsewhere. There is no elsewhere. We offer our salutations to the members of the hierarchy with whom we are familiar, and especially to certain ones with whom we attempt most to work. So, inwardly and with heartfelt gratitude, we offer our salutations to the Masters and to the head of the hierarchy, the Christ. Salutations to the Christ, the Master of all Masters. Salutations to the triangle of masters with whom we work most closely, Master Morya, Master K.H. Kutume, Master D.K.H. Walkul. Salutations to the Master Morya, the head of all esoteric schools and organizations. Salutations to the Master Kutumi, the coming Christ of the age of Capricorn, the one whose ashram does most at this time to prepare for the reappearance of the Christ. Salutations to the Master Jwalkul, who has given us the blue books, great treasure of wisdom, and who prepares aspirants for initiation. Salutations to your own Master as you know him to be or conceive him to be. Salutations to the entire spiritual hierarchy of our planet. And now imaginatively, we turn our thoughts towards Shambhala. We can only do this really in imagination. It is the center where the will of God is known. And with our alignment, with our solidarity, with the members of the hierarchy, at least imaginatively, in all reverence and humility, we attempt, identified as the group soul, as the group being, to at least attune with the presence, with the energy of Sanat Kumara, the Lord of the world, standing at the center of Shambhala. And inwardly, a long, silent Om, as we imagine the group imbued with his energy, long, internal, silent Om. It is the great will, the great power, the great purpose that we have to be increasingly imbued with. So our spiritual will may be activated, our sacrificial will, and our personal will may be subservient to these higher two forms of will, which themselves are subservient to the will of the greatest Lord on our planet, that extension of the planetary Logos, who is Sanat Kumara. Scorpio is a sign of such will. So Hercules does his work in this sign in an exemplary manner, and we are all Hercules. And under the will of the great King of Shambhala, no matter in how small or attenuated a manner that we feel that will, we can carry the will through into expression. We who are as a point, we are a point of light, love, and power. Our personal differences now make no difference. We are that point of light. Together we are that point of love. Together we are a point of power, spiritual power. However extended we seem to be over the face of the earth, we are collapsed into one point of tension. And we hover above the golden pathway as if treading that pathway as a group. The golden pathway leading to the heart of the indigo sun. Great second ray color. So imagine that golden pathway leading to the heart of the indigo sun, and there, as the pathway shortens and shortens and shortens, we find ourselves in the deep indigo. Try to feel that as a group in the deep indigo. And here the presence of Master DK, at least imaginatively, greets us, and we seek as a group point of tension to become outposts for his consciousness as we rise into recognition of the various subtle energies now available to us, energies about which he knows so very much, being an expert in all these energies. Let something of that knowledge come to us. Let something of the true nature of the energy imbue us. because we're going to align with these qualities, these spiritual qualities, emanating from the three planetary rulers of the sign Scorpio. There will be Mars, the exoteric ruler, conveying, and we all need it, the courage to face the outer opponent. And there will be Mars also as the esoteric ruler, conveying the courage to struggle for the sake of a high ideal, and to confront as well the inner opponent, the so-called dweller on the threshold. Dweller on the threshold of divinity, really. And we will place ourselves under the ray of Mercury, the hierarchical ruler, conveying the disillusioning power of Buddhic illumination. Maybe something of pure reason can come to us, so we have a deep, deep understanding of that which lies beyond glamour and illusion. And we will not forget the presence of Pluto, a special ruler in relation to Scorpio, conveying the power to destroy that which binds the inner consciousness to illusion, glamour, and Maya. We can visualize these planets as we have been allowed to see them through our space exploration, or we can visualize the glyph of the planets. But our purpose now is to attune with these planetary energies now available, always available really, but more intensely available at this time as we move together towards the full moon, which reveals Scorpio through our sun and through these planets. So first it is Mars in relation to Scorpio, the red planet, really, the red-orange planet it seems. Mars can cause a lot of trouble, but we do need Mars. Firstly, to strengthen the will, to confront and overcome the outer enemy, and as the Christ brings not peace but the sword, the outer enemy will also appear. And we need courage of a rare kind to confront those forces which can threaten our life upon the physical plane. Build up the courage, but even more so the inner courage. As we become more psycho-spiritually mature, the inner courage to confront a far more lethal, deadly enemy within, the one who kills our consciousness and our contact with the higher realms. So we contemplate together the will to fight to the death all vice and negativity, inner and outer, until the light of day, that's the scorpionic type of light, the light of day shines forth, and the illumination of all within the 18 lower subplanes is achieved. We contemplate and begin to absorb this courageous, idealistic, beneficently destructive energy. Our groups need this energy, and the Martian energy is seen to flow into our groups, not to cause friction and combat within, but to bring courage, to strengthen the will, to go forth. As if each one of us and our group together and our groups as well can absorb this courageous energy, and we will visualize the absorption. I will sound the Om, and you sound it with me, on the traditionally red note, which is the C. Our group and groups imbued with the courage of Mars, to be used wisely in the inevitable battle within. The outer foe and the inner foe. But then there is Pluto, the upward pointing arrow of death, the austere Lord who sits upon his jet black throne, as it is symbolically conveyed to us. And we need this too, this power to terminate all energy patterns which stultify and suffocate the consciousness. And so we concentrate upon the death of death. And as we go deeper, we contemplate the power that kills, that which kills the realization of the soul within the personal consciousness, because indeed we are not always consciously living as souls in the world of the soul, are we? So there are ways to kill out, using the law of repulse, kill out those obstacles which prevent us from living as souls in the world of the soul. The sharp shears, the scissors of Pluto, severing for once and for all the threads of attachment to the unreal, to that which dies, severing attachment to the mortality and entering that which always lives. So we have to detach, let go oftentimes of things that we hold dear in a personal sense. We have to, if we are to live, to die to the things that hold us in the realm of death. Our groups need this. We need this. It's as if the symbol of Pluto pours forth its power, and we, at that point of tension in the group, we receive it. It's a non-sacred planet, but yet an esoteric planet. So little about it is known. We absorb this detaching power. As if we can breathe that upward pointing arrow of death, maybe a blackish red arrow perhaps, into our psyche. And as we absorb the ray of Pluto, it has much of the first ray, but also of the sixth ray in some ways, and it has some of the mental rays also. Interesting. As we absorb it, we feel ourselves imbued with the quality to throw out what is not necessary, to eject it, to discard it, to disperse it. And I'll also use the red note here. There is no black note. A first ray note from one perspective. Again, the sea, as we feel ourselves imbued with plutonic energy. If there's ever to be a use of the group will, at the higher initiations, Pluto will be involved, as will Vulcan. Now finally, we move on to the power of Mercury, the hierarchical ruler. And it's not of the lower realm in this mode of Mercury. It represents the transcendent light of Buddhi, the light of pure reason, of intuitive, immediate, intuitive apprehension of relationships. How things really relate within the field of love wisdom is revealed by the transcendental mind. Revealing what the dweller on the threshold is, revealing it for what it is. An illusory phantom, and helping to devitalize that dweller entirely through a luminous understanding of its unreality. Mercury. The color is yellow. It's always the color associated with Mercury. It's the yellow of Buddhi, the yellow of illumination and of pure reason. And certainly we need this planet to disillusion our consciousness from its ordinary illusions. We absorb it, it comes into our group. Master DK is in many ways Mercury. He is the messenger, so identified with that planet. So many Gemini people connected with him in the early days, and maybe now too. So we absorb the light, the intuitive light of pure reason. We will use the note E, the mercurial note, the note of Buddhi, and we'll imagine Mercury in our midst, and the transcendent intuitive mind becoming the group mind. We merge with that. And thus we have the three planets as if absorbed into our group to be used during this Scorpio period, Mars, Pluto, and Mercury. But in our solar system is the great source of these planets, as they are in a sense chakras of the great second ray solar logos, the God of love, wisdom. He pours his power, his love. He is the blue logos. He pours it out to the various planets, and especially to some of them, and into every monad soul and personality upon the earth, into every kingdom. When you look at the sun, as we all do, you're looking at an extension of our great solar logos. Not just the sun in the sky, but the solar logos in extension. So remember that when you look at the sun. Is the sun of love, wisdom, the heart of love, the great second ray soul of our solar logos, imbuing every one of us with love, wisdom, no matter what our ray may be. We are expressions of love, wisdom, no matter what our rays may be. And as we sound the Om and feel ourselves imbued by that great solar fire, let's see if we can absorb something of this love, wisdom, which we want to project to the world. The note G, again, the blue note. All of us in the field of pure love, wisdom. That's what initiation is all about. We're learning to be units of love, wisdom, using various ray approaches to do it. And then in our alignment on to Scorpio itself, really the constellation it's called Scorpius, We call it Scorpio so much, but the light of Scorpio comes to us. It's a brilliant constellation, and you probably have seen it. It's the scorpion, and the claws of the scorpion, the constellation Libra. It's rather serpentine. It has a curve in it. Brilliant stars, very powerful stars. With Antares, a super giant at the very center of it, the heart of the scorpion, but releasing to us the light of day. That's what the Tibetan calls it, the light of day. The place where three lights meet, the light of form, the light of soul, and the light of life. And they meet, they blend, they rise like the phoenix. That light of day is breaking forth at first on the Buddhic plane and beyond. In the causal body, we don't have the full light of day. In our egoic lotus, no, not the full light of day. But when we have overcome the lower illusions, then the light of day will break forth. And so as rough as this energy can be, and as deadly even in a common sense, we open ourselves to the feel of it, especially to its higher aspects, open to the feel of Scorpio, attempting to realize this profound relationship to the fourth ray of harmony through conflict, but eventual harmony. And the other ray is the sixth, the first, the fourth, the first. These particular rays, the feel of Scorpio. We have to have this energy to put to death those aspects of ourselves which prevent the true self from being realized. And so we come to our moment of contemplation, which should intensify as we move towards the full moon tomorrow. Warrior I am, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. We each have our battles, and our groups have their battles, and humanity has its battles. And we are identified in all of those three levels, the individual, the group, and humanity itself. And so, together in the silence, together at a point of tension, drawing from the alignments that we have made, warrior I am, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. warrior I am. And from the battle I emerge triumphant. Warrior I am. And from the battle I emerge triumphant. As we contemplate these words, the planetary energies are flowing into us. The solar logos, the love, and the mediated energies of Scorpio. The origin, the constellation Scorpio, in the one about whom naught may be said, our local cosmic God. Scorpio is one of the 12 petals in the heart, in the head center of this super cosmic logos that we call the one about whom naught may be said. And that energy goes into our local 7 solar systems, of which our solar system is one. 7 major solar logoi, in which our solar logos is the heart center. And into the solar heart it goes. This energy, which has started from the one about whom naught may be said. Well, where did it start? But for practical purposes, that's the cosmic origin for us. And into Mars, and into Pluto, and into Mercury, and gathered into Shambhala under the law of assembly, and into every monad resident in Shambhala, and into every soul resident in hierarchy, and into every personality, stimulating the chakras, vivifying us with power to triumph over our obstacles, inner and outer. And we all have them. We wouldn't be here. Even the planetary logos, even the solar logos, have their obstacles and their modes of triumph. We must triumph, we together. The World Esoteric Group, with great responsibility to prepare the way for the externalization of the hierarchy and the reappearance of the Christ, must triumph in this era of the forerunner. The last, 10.5 years, that's all. So what will be your triumph? What will be your triumph? What will be our triumph? What will be humanity's triumph? There is trouble in the world. We're in a tribulated period. Test, trial, and triumph. So together, imbued with these energies, let us look out into the world and locate a place of friction, a place of grave difficulty. Wherever you choose. And send the triumphant energy into it so that the conditions may change. Conditions may change. Maybe as you sound the Om, you will repeat the mantra as you watch the change take place. Warrior, I am. And from the battle, I emerge triumphant. We will close our meditation with the sounding of the great invocation. We remember these images so that we may become like the risen phoenix, and one day humanity, the world disciple, may become as the risen phoenix. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Thank you, friends, for being here to meditate together. Remember, November 6th, it's tomorrow. What is today already? Should be, let's see here. This is Thursday, Thursday, November 6th at 10:22 and 48 seconds PM GMT. Universal Time, and we will have our exact full moon broadcast starting at 9 o'clock tomorrow. You can, if you don't have the link already, you can find the link on MoryaFederation.com. We will do our very best to get the internet to cooperate with us, and if it should not, we will get the video to you. We will, when I say warrior I am and from the battle I emerge triumphant, I sometimes think about my internet problems. But there will be an emergence, and we hope to see you there to meditate with all of you as if we are one large group, which we are, standing at one point of tension, which we do. So, good night, good day, good afternoon, and we will see you in meditation. Intensify, intensify as we move towards the full moon in this day of safeguarding. So, bye-bye. Bye-bye. And see you in meditation.